You are a huge
Understatement.
All right, welcome back. Let's dive right into the details for today, shall we? Analysts have stated that the Nigerian military structure too rigid to fully utilize the potentials of its cadets to global best practices. Speaking on Atlantic Television Blowout, a social-political analyst Adubabari Manki emphasized on the need for the Nigerian military, including the Navy, to reascertain its structure to global best standard. Speaking further, Manki expressed grievances over the structural system of operations in the country. Recall that the Nigerian Navy graduates have celebrated in grand style their official induction into the marine workforce after a thorough series of trainings. Moving on now, the pioneer chairman of the People's Democratic Party for Ward 10 in Abavo, Ika South local government area, Elder Francis Amamosa, has been killed by gunmen suspected to be Fulani herdsmen. Elder Amamosa was killed this morning in his farm along the corridors of the railway line in Okpe quarters, Abavo. The octogenarian politician and community leader was said to have been attacked and killed by the suspected herders who allegedly took over his farm and attempted to kidnap him along with 2 other farmers. Elder Amamosa was said to have resisted the kidnappers and questioned their audacity to order him out of his farm, following which the gun-tottering herdsmen reportedly shot at him. It was gathered that when the bullet failed to penetrate, the assailants resorted to the use of machete to inflict deadly cuts on him. Sources said that he consequently gave up the ghost. 2 other farmers who were with the deceased during the incident were later abducted by the herders. Meanwhile, the remains of late Elder Amamosa has been deposited at the mortuary, while the matter has been reported at the Abavo Police Division for investigations. A similar report from the area indicates that a middle-aged man was reportedly killed in similar circumstances in Abavo community on Friday last week, following the development. Palpable fear and tension is currently pervading the area. Harmony in Edo State. Despite our efforts to make life better for Edo State workers, there are forces beyond our control, as we don't control the national economy, and our workers are still languishing in pain and penury. I give you assurance, I give you insurance, improved conditions of service, pay you and promote you on time. But the truth is that because of the economic situation in Nigeria today, our workers continue to be challenged by devaluation, high food prices, and inflation have made nonsense of the 40,000 naira we are paying you. He continues and says, as a government, we feel your pains and know your take-home pay can barely take you home. We will continue to try. I am one of those governors who believe that we can't run away from the fact that we must adjust the minimum wage in Nigeria. It would have been nice for there to be a central and cohesive and common approach. We would have expected that by now there should have been a direction as to what minimum wage will be for workers in Nigeria. He commended the cordial relationship his administration has enjoyed with the organized labor, which he has supported. The institutional reforms his administration has embarked on since 2016. Ajero commends decision. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has condemned the recent attack in the Uguejiro Nimbo community, Uzonwani local government area of the state. Residents who spoke to our correspondent said that herdsmen attacked mourners at Uguejiro Nimbo community, killing 4 people instantly. Although some residents said 4 corpses had been recovered, the community has formed search parties as so many people are currently missing. During his visit to the community on Monday, the governor stated his administration's resolve to track, capture the culprits and bring them to justice. While describing the attack as malicious and unacceptable to us as a state, the governor promised that the state government would cater to the needs of the affected families, adding that scholarship awards and employment opportunities would be offered to the children and family members of the victims. 2 other stories now. Following the collapse of the classroom building, I quote, the incident affected the entire GSS3 students. We have to improvise and squat them in other classes for the time being. The arrangement is affecting the students' class schedules. We have contacted the Ministry of Education, but we have not heard anything about it yet, he said. Members of the community who narrated the collapse of the building told correspondents that the incident could have claimed lives had it occurred during the time the school had not gone on break. Speaking on the issue, the chairman of the larger Community Development Association, Ayo Ajayi, said before the collapse, the CDA had been very interested in the school. We have made the government aware of the situation at the school. They have asked us to do a survey, which we have done. They have asked me to do a lot of other things, which I have done. They have, because they are the first point of report, but as I speak with you, I am not aware. This does not mean that the ministry is not aware. Can you send me the name of the school so that I can properly find out? Lawal told correspondents. Meanwhile, in 2019, just 2 days before the resumption of schools in Lagos, a 3-story building housing Excel College at Iyano Ejigbo area of Lagos collapsed. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency said the building, which collapsed at about 8:15 a.m., was part of a twin 3-story building housing the school. Residents of Fadeyi in the Shomolu area of Lagos State have raised the alarm over the increasing activities of hoodlums in the community. The residents who spoke to correspondents over the weekend lamented that the boys between the ages of 16 and 20 years were fond of terrorizing them, as well as some business owners in the area. The gang was also said to have repeatedly threatened the police by preventing them from taking action. The latest of their escapades was an attack on a staff member of a water company, Shegun Ojeleye, in the Alhaji Kalfo area of the community. Kenneth said Ojeleye was badly injured as a result of the attack and immediately rushed to the hospital. Another resident who did not want his name in print for security reasons told our correspondent that the gang also extorted business owners who just purchased a new item for their businesses. A trader and a resident who preferred to be identified as Iyafumbi said the gang members were known for harassing and molesting young girls while appealing for the intervention of police authorities. The police public relations officer Benjamin Hundeyi could not send to him had yet to be responded to either as of the time this report was filed. A registered nurse and a theist, Prince Oriol Dionwo, has accused a private hospital in Lagos State, Al Jolad Hospital Agege, of alleged negligence and failure to provide adequate care, which reportedly led to the death of his wife, Loveth, and unborn son, already named as Jason. The distraught man told correspondents that his late wife started antenatal at the hospital in 2023, but reportedly bled to death on March 8, 2024, shortly after undergoing a cesarean section. of your Modiowo insisted that the lack of a competent surgical team and equipment were factors that contributed to the untimely death of his wife and baby. He lamented that the long hours of induction led to the rupture of his late wife's uterus, causing heavy bleeding. He further said, "My wife was bleeding. The hospital claimed they were not aware until she collapsed and started gasping for air with extremely low blood pressure and severely compromised vital signs. My wife and son eventually bled to death, and the theater floor was a river of blood despite various colloids that were infused. Imagine living with the horror of the scene," he said. Moving to other stories now, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has said that closed-circuit television and solar lights would be installed on the third mainland bridge by June to check the activities of illegal miners in the infrastructure. Umahi said this after a routine inspection of the under-deck project at Ido Bridge, Carter Bridge, and the third mainland bridges in Lagos. The minister said that the federal government had taken proactive measures to address the condition of the piles supporting the third mainland bridge, adding that erosion and illegal mining had damaged the piles and a consultant would be contacted on the repairs. Umahi noted that one major work was going to be looked at, hence a meeting with Julius Berger would ensue. According to him, the installation of the camera's solar system will be ready by June 2024. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Kogi Command said on Tuesday that the agency was focused on reducing circulation of illicit drugs to forestall usage. For Mr. Umar Yahuza, State Commander of the agency, disclosed this to the News Agency of Nigeria in Lokoja. Yahuza explained that with a reduction in circulation of illicit drugs, usage and dependence levels would drop, which would be, in the long run, reduction vices like insurgency, kidnapping, and others in society. According to him, drug abuse is the catalyst for all the insurgencies and kidnappings today. The commander disclosed that the command had put in place strategies to arrest drug abusers and traffickers, as well as seize all illicit drugs being peddled in and out through Kogi. He called on the state government, community, and religious leaders and all other stakeholders to join the NDLEA to successfully fight drug abuse and trafficking. We will take these messages to government, institutions, schools, religious places such as churches, mosques, markets, places, and motor parks, NDLEA laments. The Nigerian Correctional Service has so far recaptured 16 out of the 119 inmates who escaped from the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center in Niger Delta last week. The spokesperson for the NCOS, Abubakar Umar, disclosed this to our correspondent on Monday. Correspondent reports that a relentless downpour on Wednesday night wreaked havoc on the Suleja Custodial Center, resulting in extensive damage to the facility and facilitating the escape of the inmates. The downpour caused severe damage to the custodial center's infrastructure, including a breach in the perimeter fence, allowing inmates to flee. The 10 fleeing inmates were arrested on Thursday morning, and in the evening another 3 were recaptured. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, after surveying the damage caused by a severe downpour at the custodial center in Suleja, highlighted the urgent need for reforms in over 240 custodial centers nationwide, pledged the federal government's dedication to bringing the remaining fleeing inmates back into custody. A former governor of Sokoto State, Atahiru Bafarawa, on Monday lamented the activities of bandits in the north. He revealed how bandits made him abandon his 10,000 hectares of land in Kaduna State. Speaking to newsmen on the backdrop of the high cost of foodstuff in the country, Bafarawa noted that people now seek permission from bandits before going to the farm. He said bandits were the ones who decided which farm to cultivate or not in his community. Activities of bandits in the northeast and northwest have been fingered as one of the factors responsible for the current food crisis in the country. According to March figure by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, food inflation stood at 31.70%, a situation experts have tagged as emergency. Bafarawa, however, claimed that he had warned the federal government of impending food security in the country. He called for genuine collaborative efforts between the federal government, state and local governments to tackle insecurity, particularly in the north. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu said social media has become a priority and issue of national security. Ribadu stated this in Abuja at a meeting with spokesperson of organizations under the umbrella of strategic media constituted both local and global threats. Ribadu disclosed that the national security strategy was last reviewed in 2015, a situation that gave rise to the launch of the 2019 version, which he said was now under review. It directed media managers in the defense, security and response agencies to change their approach to engaging with the public and countering disinformation from enemies of the country. This comes as the detained terrorist negotiator Mohammed Tukur Mamu begged a federal high court Abuja to order his release from the custody of the Department of the State Services to the Correctional Center in Kuje, the federal capital territory. The NSS document is reviewed every 5 years in view of the changing dynamic. Interagency Policy Committee must be proactive and strategic in national security communication management. He said the spokesman in the security sector must address the worrying use of the media and social media platforms in creating division between the citizens and governments at various levels. Ribadu also listed the preponderance of fake news, misinformation and disinformation as threats to national security and public engagement. He said across the world we have also assessed the adept use of social media platforms by those who seek power to shape public opinion against citizens. This threat is both global and local and presents an immediate national security priority. The urgency to prepare and be proactive in our national security strategic communication management is now, and the spokespersons have a critical role to play. Ribadu asserted that the National Security Strategy 2019, currently under review, identified strategic communication as an element of national power. He said the strategy should be integrated into all operational aspects, including information operations, psychological operations, and counter violent extremism. Ribadu charged to terror groups and criminal elements like Boko Haram and armed bandits bent on stifling citizens' freedom to life, dignity and security. The NSA said in engaging with the public communicators in the security sector should adopt strategies that take into account the personal sacrifices of service personnel. He said, upon the sweat and blood of service personnel and the men and women who protect us daily, we must build a narrative of resilience and mobilize our people. We must tell their stories and sing their praise as part of a broader national strategic communication program. He reiterated, as spokespersons, you have a critical role to play in effective governance communication to project our results and reach audiences at home and abroad. Countering fake news will require that we are ahead of the news and proactively update the public, he re-emphasized. The NSA promised to ensure that government communication aligned with President Bola Tinubu's vision and directives and the messages well coordinated and in line with national security objectives and values. Moving on now. There's more news, but don't forget you can connect with us and watch us on ATN Socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X, Atlantic TV-net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Two other stories now. Financial Markets Dealers Quotations Group PLC has announced the appointment of the Deputy Governor of the Economic Policy Directorate at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Mohammad Abdullahi, as the group chairman of its board. This development follows the retirement of the fourth chairman, Dr. Kingsley Obiora, effective September 2023. FMDQ announced this on its website on Monday. The group operates as Africa's first vertically integrated financial market infrastructure group, providing a range of services across debt capital, foreign exchange, derivatives, and equity markets. It noted that Abdullahi brings a wealth of experience and expertise to his new role. Having held key leadership positions in the private, public, and international development sectors, he is well positioned to lead FMDQ Group into the future. In his earlier career, Abdullahi made significant contributions in both the banking sector and public service. He served as the Commissioner of Economic Planning and Budget in the government of Kaduna State and subsequently as the Chief of Staff to the State Governor. The Chief Executive Officer of FMDQ Group, Mr. Bola Koko, welcomed the Apex Bank's Deputy Governor to the organization. The management of the University of Benin has approved the indefinite suspension of the university's student union government. In a statement on Monday by the university's registrar, Ademola Bobola, the institution said the suspension was in connection with the attack on the Edo State Labour Party's candidate, Olumide Akpata, by some students believed to be members of the student union. The state added that the suspension took effect from Monday, April 29, 2024. In the interim, a caretaker committee composed of representatives of faculties, schools, and institutes has been approved to coordinate students' activities during the period of suspension. And I quote, the above directive of the Vice-Chancellor is hereby communicated for the attention of the university community and compliance of the erstwhile union offices as appropriate. Moving on now, the presiding bishop of the Living Faith Church, also known as Winners Chapel International, Bishop David Oyedepo, has condemned fraudsters and Yahoo boys, saying they have a tainted future. From the Yahoo email service, the term Yahoo boy is derived. It is commonly used to refer to young men who engage in various forms of internet fraud, particularly advanced fee fraud and other scams. Oyedepo, while ministering at a service Kenaland on Sunday, advised youth to live within the ambit of the law. He condemned those in the business of defrauding others, saying they would end in bitterness and destruction. Oyedepo becomes the latest cleric frowning at the internet fraudsters after the senior preacher and founder of Salvation Ministries, Pastor David Ibiomie, condemned them. In a 2022 sermon, Ibiomie dubbed Yahoo boys as nothing but thieves. He mentioned that they will know no peace because they are stealing from other people. He reiterated. The federal government has announced plans to set up a $10 billion diaspora fund to attract investment from citizens living abroad. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Doris Uzoka Anite, who disclosed this in a statement on X, said the federal government is seeking bids from asset managers to set up the fund. She said the initiative is expected to support critical sectors including infrastructure, health, care, and education to grow the economy. According to her, the fund will be guided by the advisory board comprising limited partners, calling on eligible firms to express their interest in its management. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Monday began offloading 240 million liters of premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol, as it stepped up efforts to tackle the worsening nationwide petrol scarcity. As the NMPCL began offloading petrol, filling stations sold the product at an average price of 800 naira per litre in various locations. Correspondents gathered that the 240 million litres of petrol imported into the country came in through 5 vessels, which were offloaded into 5 depots on Monday. The Southwest Regional Coordinator of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Ayo Cardoso, confirmed this in a conversation with newsmen. Meanwhile, travelers and commuters nationwide were stranded at bus stops and motor parks yesterday as the petrol scarcity in the country bites harder. Many filling stations without the product remained closed in Abuja and Lagos yesterday, while those that have the product continue to sell to motorists and other users. Newsmen gathered that many motorists and other users were compelled by circumstances to patronize black market operators who openly sold the product along Ikorodu Road, Isola, and other locations in cans at between 900 naira and 1,000 per litre. Similar high fares were charged in different Abuja routes yesterday, and this led to a sharp increase in both inter- and intrastate journeys. Consequently, commuters were stranded at bus stops, while travelers were also stranded in motor parks due to high fares charged by transporters. Newsmen gathered Lagos-Abuja trip, which hitherto cost about 30,000 naira, rose to as high as 50,000 yesterday, prompting some travelers to cancel their trips. In Makurdi, the Benue state capital, the pump price of petrol hit 780 naira per litre as most filling stations in the town remained under lock without products to dispense. Investigations revealed that a few that had products to sell, such as NMPC Mega Station on New Otukpo Road, which was dispensing at 617 naira per litre, had long queues of cars, commercial buses, motorcycles waiting patiently to purchase. While the drivers complained about the high cost of fuel, which was sold at 850 per litre, commuters lamented that paying the increased price had added more burden to their lean resources. From the PRTVC roundabout in the Rayfield area to the Kwang Lamingo Road axis, which used to be between 150 and 200 naira, is now 200 or 300. Lamingo Road to Bukuru, which used to be 400 naira, is now 500 naira. And the British American Junction to Polo roundabout, which used to be 200 naira, is now 300 naira. Meanwhile, task force raids filling stations in Ilorin warns against hoarding, and the Kwara State Government's task force also yesterday raided some filling stations within the Ilorin metropolis, cautioning them against hoarding fuel. The government said the raid was part of measures to address fuel scarcity in the state, and I quote, "This is a committee set up by Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak to solve the problem of fuel shortage. As a responsible and responsive government, we cannot be folding our arms watching. People of the state to be patient and avoid panic buying, saying the federal government is not trying to increase the prices of fuel. We'll make sure our people are not shortchanged." So far, Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, responsible for monitoring and sanctioning stakeholders involved in illegal practices, has not been visible at the filling station. Chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Dr. Musa Ali Usan, says the commission has tracked over 219 billion naira constituency projects across 176 ministries, departments, agencies in 5 years. Its inception in 2019 focused on critical sectors like education, agriculture, healthcare, and infrastructure, spanning 26 states and the federal capital territory across the 6 geopolitical zones. This initiative, according to him, ensures government funds are directed towards impact mitigation on some infractions identified on funded projects. The ICPC had instituted cases against some sites commenced in November 2023 and 20 billion naira, and the contract's value of all projects tracked was 285 billion naira. The Nigerian Port Consultative Council has expressed support for the single window project, calling for the quick implementation in order for improvement for the ease of doing business in the nation. In a statement by the chairman of the council, Mr. Bolaji Sumola, said that the project, when fully implemented, will not only increase the ease of doing business in Nigerian ports, it will further assist the facilitation of trade in ports and border ports. Sumola stated that the council is ready to assist the implementation project by way of monitoring its progress and gave necessary advisory support. He said